We'll call this meeting of the Freeman School Board to order. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item on the agenda is roll call. Emily? Yes. David?
Yep.
Doug?
Yes.
Carissa?
Yes.
Cody?
Yes.
Next item on the agenda, approval of the agenda. Will require a motion to approve the amended agenda.
Yeah, so we had a couple items that were changed. 13, we added, school board will hear an update from the policy review committee and the added part and perform the first reading of the graduation requirement / early graduation policy. We added item 16. The board will hear an update from the Phoenix Co-op Advisory Committee that met on Wednesday.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Carissa. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Cody. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Vote same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, conflict of interest disclosures. I received none.
None.
Next item on the agenda, public input.
None.
Next item on the agenda, consent agenda. Will require a motion to approve the following: the minutes of the regularly scheduled school board meeting of July 10th, 2023, the hiring of Mary for the title of paraprofessional position at the Cheddar Colony, the financial claims, or financial reports and claims. Do I have a motion? Motion by Cody. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Doug. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, administrative report, starting with the elementary principal.
The elementary open house is going to be on Monday, the 21st, from 5 to 6. We moved the time up 5 to 6. So last year, there's been years where we had parents that were trying to go to the 7th grade and the elementary open house. So we're going to be done, so then the 7th grade parents don't have any conflict. We got the elementary schedules completed. Hearing screenings for K1, 3 in the county are August 28th. School pictures are already September 7th. Elementary fun run is going to be on that early football game on September 1st. And this is my current enrollment, and I think first grade is up to 26. This thing has been changing almost every other day. Kindergarten's up at 22 as of right now. First grade's at 26. Second grade's at 31. Third grade's at 26. Fourth grade's at 28. So this is Mrs. Hermson's last year, and this is going to be the largest class she's ever had in 40 years of teaching.
Wow.
Fifth grade's at 22, and sixth grade's at 24. Like I said, this number could change by tomorrow at this time.
Great, thanks, Shane. High school principal report.
Congrats to our softball team and our boys golf team. They both received an academic team award. So that means that they're, as a team, all of them on the team either met or exceeded a grade point average of 3.0. And then congrats to Claire Loofborough for being selected as the All-State outfielder, and then Cammie Franson for being selected as honorable mention to the All-State infielder. We have 7 students enrolling into the middle school, high school as of now, 3 leaving. So 7th grade numbers are 22, 8th grade 37. That class is split. Freshmen 25, sophomores 22, juniors 30. They are split for several classes as well. And then seniors 20. I believe that's a total of 156 in the middle school, high school. Last year and this year we have a really big band, which is a great problem to have. We have 83 students out of the 156 rostered in band, with the potential for a few more that are coming in that are band kids as well. So our plan is to again have t-shirts for our band uniform for the upcoming school year. Those uniforms that we have currently, we don't have enough of them in the right sizes, and quite frankly, we're not even sure that we can order more because of where they were made before. So we think that this is probably going to be a more cost-effective option than ordering those new pretty expensive uniforms. So that's our plan for now. And then just so you guys are aware, dual credit rules were revised by the state. So Before it was local control, we could do what we wanted. Some schools gave students 1 credit for a dual credit course. Some schools did 0.5, like a traditional high school class. We always followed the 0.5 because for us that was better than kids weren't meeting all requirements, way too soon and then not wanting to continue or whatever the case may be. So the state, this is something that came down. We wanted more uniformity within the state. So if a kid transfers in or out or goes someplace else, that it holds the same weight. So they finally did do that. So what they've established to kind of agree on both sides, the people that wanted 1 or the people that wanted a half, these are the rules that they came up with. So as a high school, all dual credit courses will be worth 0.5 per semester, just like a regular high school credit class, if the course is a 0 to 3 credit hour course. Okay, then you will get 1 high school credit for any post-secondary course that is 4 or more credits. A minimum of 0.5 high school credit will be transcribed per semester of instruction, so that's 1 credit for the whole year, which is what we would give for a regular high school class as well. And then last, to kind of appease the other side of things, if the post-secondary course is aligned to a graduation requirement content area in the standards, it's covering the standards of the high school class, then the school must award credit as a graduation requirement. All other credit is transcribed as elective credit. Okay, so those are the new rules that we will follow. That's statewide, just to kind of create that uniformity for those post-secondary courses. So I just wanted you guys to be aware of that. First day of school for the high school will be a skinny schedule, and then I usually meet with the entire school as one in the gym. I'm not going to do that this year. I'm going to meet with the classes individually just because I feel like it'll be a little bit, there are certain things to talk about with certain grades based on where they are, plus it's a little less intimidating to ask questions if they're just with their classmates. So we're going to try that this year instead. And then our open house dates are below along with the first day of school. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Great, superintendent report.
Hard to believe the teachers will be back in the building on Friday. It's crazy to think that in-service is already starting. It seems like we blinked and the summer was gone. Students, like Katie mentioned, are back on the 22nd, so in 8 days we'll have kids back in the building, and I'm excited to see the energy that the kids bring to the building, excited to see them back in the building. We are part of the emergency bus pact again. You can see in your packets that I have I put the form that I submitted to the state to be part of that. I met with Sam Sorensen from the Lions Club. He reached out to me and scheduled a meeting and shared that they are potentially, he still has to present to their board yet, but they're potentially interested in forming a partnership with the school district and leading the fundraiser efforts for a softball and youth baseball complex. What I shared with the board in July, last month, I shared the same documents with him and showed him kind of what I had put together as far as the fundraising, potential fundraising formula that we could use. Shared with him that we'd have to go back and revisit that and make sure the numbers would match up if both boards decided that this is something that we wanted to move forward with. If we decide to move forward with it, what we've identified as a plan for the future potentially could be that we form a committee. Sam and I, just brainstorming, thought that maybe that committee could consist of school district representation, community representation, community leadership representation, so this from the city. We talked about it as a facilities and grounds committee, and another idea came to mind is maybe somebody from Summer Rec could be part of that committee as well. Form that committee to kind of steer and guide that process, and obviously both boards would be involved throughout the process, and it would be likely a very lengthy process, but it was a relief to hear that there's somebody in our community that is showing interest and a desire to step up and help us to raise some money for this facility. So I guess tonight what we would need to decide as a board, and I'll open up for discussion here, is this a partnership that we want to form with the Lions Club if they are interested?
I mean, speaking for myself, I think, what we had chatted about previously at the board meeting was, somebody needs to take the ball and run with it, and it it's not the school board. So I think I think it's definitely a move in the right direction. And I think inviting all those folks to the table to make sure that, you know, whatever it is fits the needs of everyone and is important as well. You know, sounds like all the major stakeholders will be involved in that. Interested to hear more, definitely moves in that direction, but that's just my 2 cents.
I agree.
I agree.
Well spoken.
Great.
Okay, thank you for your feedback on that. I'm still working on getting quotes for a new stove. I've been in contact with a company out of Rapid City area. Should be getting a quote within the next week here. We have to have two quotes received before the board would be able to make that purchase. So we'll get the quote and then we'll go through any other paperwork on the business side of things and hopefully have something. I know I said that we'd have something for August, but hopefully we have it for September to be prepared to make that motion. September 29th, I will be attending a school safety training. We did a lot of work last year, mainly in the winter months of putting together a school safety plan. So I'm going to be, we've got all the edits that the committee recommended, and we'll be polishing those recommendations, and then I'll bring that school safety plan to the school safety training just to make sure we're covering all our bases, checking all our boxes that we need to, verify that the plan is the plan that we should be implementing, and then you can plan on that at the October board meeting. We'll bring that plan and present that to the board for the first time to review and hopefully approval.
All right. Next on the agenda, unfinished business. There's none. Next on the agenda, new business. Number 1, the school board will hear an update from the business manager.
I just have some info on the CD. So I talked to Emily Hofer at Merchants, and so if you'll see on the money market gold accounts is what we have. If we have 50,000 or more, they pay at 2.25% interest. But the bank gives 3% to schools and townships because it's taxpayer money. So we've been getting 3%, and the other sheet is what we earned in 2023, fiscal year 2023, in interest. And all of it got transferred to the general fund except for food service, because it's a federal fund, it has to stay there. And so we're gonna have I put $200,000 towards a CD, 11-month CD at 4%. And I mean, we can talk about doing more too.
I think that's great.
Staggered a little bit, so it's not all tied up at one time.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a smart idea.
Does anybody have any questions about that?
Questions or comments?
Not confident enough to understand any of it.
Anybody? Nope. Any other updates?
Just
Is that everything you wanted to cover?
well, just on the budget, just doing updates, shifting a little bit of salary with the moves we're making with the colony. That's about all. A little more in curriculum,
Okay. Sounds good.
but everything else pretty much the same.
All right. Thanks for the update. Great. Next item on the agenda, the school board will discuss hiring an additional paraprofessional to support our elementary special education program.
This one's kind of an interesting one. We're looking at shifting things around, like Debbie just mentioned, by having individuals in town cover the colony position, which opens up positions in town that need to be filled. We also are in an interesting position to where the individual covering the colony, potentially, that would be the full year out there, would not have certification. So we have to, according to the state, we have to leave that position posted. And if we are to get an applicant, that's a quality applicant, we have to hire that person for that job because they're a certified teacher. So that makes things interesting as far as what is the year going to look like, and throw on top of that we have growth again in the district, and with that growth, sometimes you get growth in our special education programming. So that I would say we definitely have needs within our special ed programs at the elementary and at the high school. So what I would like to discuss and propose is that we have had a person that's expressed interest in the teaching position at the colony. I have not talked to that person. I don't know if that individual would be the right fit for that position, but there's potential that could happen. So with this, we have a need. We're not sure what those needs, where that's going to fall into place. My proposal would be that the board approves hiring a paraprofessional, an additional paraprofessional. If we do get a licensed teacher, that we keep that paraprofessional throughout the year. If we do get a licensed teacher for the colony, we would shift things back to where they would come back, and we would, likely fill that paraprofessional back into the kindergarten classroom. And then from there, we could shift the new hire to part-time elementary, part-time high school, wherever the needs within the district are best met, would be the proposal that I would present to the board. Principals, anything to add to that?
I have a child that it's written in their IEP that they have a one-on-one, and his para is the one that's out at Cheddar, so I mean, that's a no if, and, or but, we have to follow the IEP.
Right. What do you think the likelihood is of getting an applicant, now that we're
Number of
either
years
into the
ago,
school year or?
sometimes it's better to get hit by lightning than.
Right.
And we have been hit by lightning before. We hired a good gal in October one time.
Okay.
That's pretty
Can
rare,
happen,
but-
but even if that would happen and that position would be filled, we would still have need, it sounds like, here anyway.
So currently, the kindergarten.
It'd be a
run
first
does
grade.
not have a para.
It'd be in first
Oh,
grade.
first grade, okay.
With kindergarten having 22 kids, is there help in there, or not usually? How's that work? How many? No.
There is no number that we've ever used.
No hard and fast. I think it sounds reasonable. I don't have any reservations.
Nor I.
Anybody else, any comments? It's quiet down there. All right, if there's no further discussion, I'll require a motion to approve the hiring of an additional paraprofessional to support our elementary special education program. Do I have a motion?
Yeah, so moved.
Motion by Doug, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Cody, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda will require, okay, so this is the surveys that we discussed.
Discussed but have not formally
Previously.
approved yet.
Yes.
The free one.
Yes, and I had Seth look into it a little bit today. He might want to speak.
Oh, yeah, wonderful. About the utilization.
Yeah, I looked at the link Jake sent me about the survey, and on the surface, it's free. I did look a little deeper, and you have to have a dedicated physical server to install their VirtualBox software on to run the survey. I did replace our high school and elementary servers this year, and I have one spare server that I could use for that. So it's not under warranty anymore, but it was a production server up until a month ago, and it's running fine. So it would be more than adequate in terms of hardware requirements to run it. The only other possible expense is as long as you're offering the survey in-house on the school network, there's really no extra expense involved beyond setting up that server that they require. If you ever give it to where you want to give it to public people in the community outside of the school, you have to set up a static IP and a URL dedicated for that, and then I'd have to buy an SSL cert.
Sure.
And that's maybe $100, $150 a year. So it's a minimal expense at that point too. So otherwise, yeah, I've got the stuff, according to what I've read so far, that we would need to set that up.
Okay. Thanks for looking into that, Seth.
Yep.
Is there any further discussion about the school climate surveys that we discussed at the previous board meeting?
Seemed reasonable.
All right, if there's no further discussion, I'll require a motion to adopt the ED school climate surveys, model surveys. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Carissa. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Doug. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, the school board will hold a discussion about changing the September 1st school day to a noon dismissal.
So I put the proposed change to the calendar in your packets with a colorful copy of our calendar. It's something that's a little easier to see. So September 1st is the date at question. The Activity Association encouraged, did not force, but encouraged every school district to consider shifting one football game to an earlier start because there is such a shortage in officials. They're having a hard time covering all their events. Christie looked at the schedule and felt that September 1st was the best date for that. So the proposal would be that we shift that, or that we have that game at 2 o'clock. That's already set, but that we adjust, that we amend the school calendar and we make that an early dismissal at noon to allow for all of our kids that are going to be part of that competition. We have football players, we have spectators, we have the band that's playing. So, I mean, it's going to be,
Probably some school staff that also
Yeah.
helps to work. Mhm.
there would not be much left in the building.
And that's a home game?
Yes.
Right, because the band would be there, obviously. Okay. I have no issues with that. I don't think that it makes sense to have, so few numbers, I think, in the building, especially if staff also, have to go out and help. And so I don't have an issue with it. Anybody?
No issues.
Okay. Bobby?
If anyone needs help for academics, I'll give them your cell number.
Right.
I field all calls.
All right. Any further discussion? There's no further discussion. We'll require a motion to amend the school district calendar to represent a noon PM dismissal on September 1st. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by David. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Carissa. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, the school board will hold a discussion about the Sourcewell quote received for the new school bus.
That's also included in your packet. Doug, Cody, do you want to take this one? Do you give any input on this? Maybe I'll just explain what's in the packet here first, and you guys can add if you have anything. So the Sourcewell quote was for $124,431.96. What we had discussed previously is using ESSER 3 funds. We have $103,623 in ESSER funds that are remaining. So we would have to use district funds of $20,808.96 for this purchase. We did look at a used option too. This one was for a 71 passenger. Couple issues with the bigger buses is that not all of our bus drivers are able to drive the bigger buses with the weight because they're Class C licenses. So this is the biggest, this 59 passengers, the biggest bus that we can get with still a Class C license, or the ability for a Class C license to drive it. So every one of our drivers can drive this bus. So that's the value of it. And the inspector, when he was here, said that our fleet of buses is very good. He was very impressed that there was not a single light bulb that was burnt out in any of our buses. But he did say it's aging, and that's just the facts. That it's an older fleet, older than a lot of other districts that they do inspections for. So a plan needs to be implemented here for how we're going to update our fleet, and they're just not going to last forever. And the proposal would be that we utilize the ESSER 3 funds that we have remaining for a bus. Anything I missed, Doug or Cody?
Sound good.
I mean, I think it makes sense to do the 59 passenger that has the most utility as far as having available bus drivers. I would hate to have a bus that would have to sit there if we didn't have, ended up not having someone with that ability to drive it, I guess. Debbie, how do you feel about the remaining cost to the district for the?
We talked about it, that we would, the difference.
Okay. That'll be
Capital.
You feel okay? Okay, about it? Okay. Any other thoughts or discussion?
I think it's time to freshen the fleet a little bit.
Do they give any type of lead time on when it would be?
Yeah, so actually it's on order right now, and if we decide that we're gonna take it, it goes to us. They're kind of reserving it for us. If we decide that we're not gonna take it, then they'll sell it. I mean, they're selling like crazy right now. So that they won't have a hard time getting rid of it. But they ordered this bus according to the specs that we had for our last bus, so they knew it would fit our needs. If we decide to take it, it's ours. And it's October build date, and then so it will receive it in early to late November.
No. Fairly short order then.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's great. Great. Any further discussion or questions?
So we are getting a bus.
There's no further discussion. We'll require a motion to accept the Sourcewell quote for a new school bus.
So moved.
Motion by Doug. Do I have a second?
Unless football gets a point.
Second.
Second by David. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, we'll review fuel quotes for the 2023-2024 school year.
So we got fuel quotes that are included in your packets. We have the first one that came from Total Stop and the second one that came from Stern. They're two very different quotes where it's a sliding scale for Stearns and it's a set rate for Total Stop. So what I asked Debbie to do is break down last year what we had for savings. So that's the third sheet that you see there, and that's the estimated savings that we had by going through Stearns
gallon.
per gallon for.
Yeah. That was, I did it every month and then averaged it out was 62 cents a gallon we saved
Compared to
on
the,
average, yeah. And I sent out 3 quotes, I send one to Casey's too, but they don't. They never give us a deal.
Okay. So, I mean, last year, we went with Stern. I think as long as I've been on the school board, we've gone with Stern. We've
Yeah.
never had any issues with
Yeah,
that. We've been satisfied with that.
Yeah. 7 cents or 62 cents?
Right, exactly. Pretty, yeah, easy comparison there. Yeah, I think in my opinion, I think going with Stern, if we've been pleased with them in the past and the savings are significantly more, I think I'm comfortable going that way. Anyone else with any thoughts or discussion? Great, so we're all in agreement to accept the quote for Stern for fuel? If so, I'll require a motion to accept the fuel quote from Stern for the 2023-2024 school year. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Carissa, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Doug, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, the school board will hear an update from the Facilities and Grounds Committee.
In the packet, Jake's got a couple of quotes. You'll notice, remember last year we had solicited Rex Winkle, because they were here doing work on the hangar, for some replacement on the bus lane, and he'd given us a square foot quote. He's been extremely difficult to get a hold of and non-responsive lately. There's a second quote in there from Randy Kerner. You can see the cost difference is substantial, but so are the quantities. Randy's looking to replace almost twice what we had Rex Winkle figure in his quote, and I think that might be the way we want to go, just based on, some of the panels are obviously wrecked, but some of the ones adjacent to them need some work too, and I think it's probably a good practice to, if we're going to do it, to fix the large area correct. So there is a discrepancy in square foot cost, but Cody and I and Jake talked about this, and I guess it's our feeling that, when we did have an emergency on the bus lane, Randy jumped on it right away. He does good work. He stands behind his work. We know he's gonna show up and get the work done, so it would be my recommendation, or, I feel like I can speak for Cody on this too, to go with Randy Kerner.
Yeah, I know that. I think he's the man for the job. And I agree with the additional surface, square footage that he wants to do. From what he said that they found during the emergency repairs, there was a lot of discrepancies with the quality of concrete. So if they're there and we can actually get someone there and do it, might as well get it done.
Right, instead of chasing our tail.
So in case there's a catastrophic failure, otherwise we're not begging.
Any more discussion or questions?
Nope.
Debbie, any thoughts on you on the difference in the cost? I always like to ask you.
I already put it in the budget.
Okay.
We have to be,
Right. Okay.
I agree with the,
Okay, thank you, Debbie. Right, if there's no other questions or discussion, we'll require a motion to approve the amended quote from Randy Kerner for concrete repairs. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Cody, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Carissa, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, the school board will hear an update from the policy review committee and perform the first reading of the policy IKF graduation requirements for early graduation.
So my understanding is we don't have an early graduation policy currently, and this essentially is one.
So then on the last page in green is where it kind of talks about the early graduation.
Requirements of, and I think the only one we were talking about at all, and not passionately, one way or the other, was the eligibility to participate after graduation. If they did in fact graduate early, they wouldn't be allowed to continue to participate in school sports.
Right,
Or activities.
right.
School-sponsored
Band, chorus,
activities.
et cetera.
No, it's all for it.
Et cetera.
Does that include? Oh, never mind, it's spelled out right there.
So the highlights that are made here and the strike-throughs, I asked Katie and Chris to review this policy and make the recommendations that they had for the board, for the policy review committee to bring to the board. So I'll turn it over to Katie and she can talk a little bit about what the thoughts were that went into
Yeah, I think
that policy.
what we said, so not allowed to participate in activities, no, but the commencement, I believe we said approved by the board, because we don't know what those circumstances are going to be.
Sure.
What if it's a health concern, right? And so then maybe you would feel that that person would be okay to come back even though they've graduated early. But I didn't want to have it to be one way or the other, so to me, I mean, certainly you could approve it the same way every single time. I just wanted to give you that leniency to.
Flexibility, yeah.
Exactly. So you could definitely leave it and say, you know, cannot or can, but I just felt like it would be better if we just said that you would approve it one way or the other depending on the circumstances, so you can change that however you want.
Yep. I think that makes sense.
And this is just the first reading.
Right.
The second reading, but if you have any feedback that you'd like to provide for the policy review committee?
So I like Katie's thoughts about having it be situationally determined, and, yeah, I like that. It looks good. I don't have any other thoughts or questions. Anything else from anybody else?
So this is a new policy then? We didn't have this option?
Currently, we do not have a graduation policy. We've operated based off of the junior, senior high school handbook that had information. If it's in the handbook, we probably should have it in district policy as well. The handbook's a continuation of our policy, but for something of this magnitude, we should have policy in place for it.
And we did not have this in the policy prior.
Okay.
So, we basically always just said we don't really allow early graduation.
Right.
I mean, unless it goes through me and you guys, right? So, we just thought there may be instances where this is something that needs to take place. Obviously, it's not what we want all of our kids doing,
Right.
right? But, you know, you gotta think about some kids too who, they might be a 20-year-old senior and they don't want to be here anymore. Like, if there's a way for them to graduate early, let's allow that to happen versus dropping out or getting their GED, because that still counts as a dropout for us if they get their GED. So if we have something that they can look at as a policy to work toward, maybe that will motivate them to work a little harder, right? If they can kind of sneak out of here earlier, especially if they're much older than the rest of their cohort, which we do have. So Yeah, it's not just so kids can jump to college when they're 17. That's not really it, but, yeah.
Unless there's a Doogie Howser, you never know.
You never know.
Great. Any further discussion? Otherwise, we'll move on.
Okay. So for, the handbook,
Yeah,
is
next
it part
one's-
of this one?
No,
too?
that's the next one.
Nope, this is the next one. Yep. Next item on the agenda is the elementary and junior, senior high school handbooks.
Are we gonna talk about the weight room? gym
Yes,
policy?
that's,
Before we move on to that.
Oh, and the
That's what I'm
update,
talking
yeah,
about.
Weight room,
gotcha,
gym one.
okay.
I'm not doing that one.
You guys gotta keep me honest over here.
I don't know what's going on, so it's
Okay.
impossible. And we were going to amend that for K through 7.
Yes.
And 8 through 12.
and then I had my other one already ready. See, I'm just ready to go here, so I'll just mark that. Okay, on the gym and weight room general rules, number 2, Freeman students in grades 6 through 8 may use the weight room under adult supervision. Freeman students in grades 9 through 12 may use the weight room without adult supervision with a signed waiver and a current sports physical on file. The committee would like to change it to Freeman students in grades K through 7 may use the weight room and gym under adult supervision, and students 8 through 12 may use it without adult supervision and a signed waiver and sports physical on file. And we wonder what the rest of you think.
Good with that, we got a lot of younger kids playing varsity level sports.
I'd say as long as there's parental supervision, I think, which, is that what it says? I don't have a copy of that in
The
there.
K
parent
through
signs
7
that's
require
okay.
parents.
They're not
8
there
through
for the
12,
8th
we
grade.
need a signed waiver.
Right, no, I'm talking K through 7.
We need a parent.
Yes.
Or adult supervision.
Adults.
Right, so not an older student. So I think that that needs to be too. They can't go with their freshman
Yeah, it's-
brother.
it's
You know what I
adult.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. I just wanted to make sure. Sorry. Oh, that's okay. I'm like, I don't have that in
Yeah,
there.
they can get a driver's license, they should be able to police themselves in a way.
Yeah, I agree. I think that that's fine.
It encompasses more than the weight room, it's gym as well.
Right, exactly. And, yeah, for those younger kids, as long as they have a parent there, I don't have a problem with that.
Part of our discussion too is that you come in, especially the winter months, you come in here on the weekend and there's parents everywhere, there's kids everywhere, and that's pretty awesome. You know, people are taking care of our facility, but they're using the heck out of our facilities, so that's kind of a neat thing. So I don't think we have to worry about the younger kids. It's, you know, there's organized, you know, the youth activities that are happening. I don't think we have any issues with, you know, younger kids being up in the weight room. That hasn't been a problem so far, so, I did check with AD Sage, and she supported 8th grade. She questioned, you know, going any lower than that, and that's why the recommendation for the policy review committee was to consider 8th grade on up. We felt that 7th grade, there's just a different maturity level between 8th and 9th, but there's really a strong maturity difference between 7th and 8th grade. So we thought we'd try it with 8th grade, and we can revisit if we need to, but we'll see how it goes.
I think that sounds good. Do we need a motion then to change that
No.
policy, or we'll do a second reading?
What I talked about was that I could bring that policy, I'll make the adjustments, and I'll bring that policy for approval next month.
Perfect, okay, good, excellent. Wonderful, all right. Anything else from the policy review committee?
We reviewed the handbooks.
Yes.
Elementary one, I don't think anyone has found anything that we wanted to address at all.
Okay.
I believe Katie went through and made a bunch of highlighted suggestions in the high school one. And then one we specifically wanted to address was the extracurricular activities eligibility.
Okay.
Which page is on? 19.
So, as you're finding 19, we wanted to tie it in on page 53. To be eligible for open campus, students must have no F in any subject, or, and then we're adding, I think, or any assignments 1 week or older on the ICU list. Is that an addition, Katie? It used to be just no Fs, and now it's also an assignment. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, they self-monitor that. Like, I mean, those open campus students self-monitor that, so they know that if I look and it's on there, then those privileges are taken away.
So then, in accordance with that, we would like what did she say, 19?
Thank you, yep.
To have, so at the very bottom, in order to maintain eligibility and participate in co-curricular events, number one, the student may not be failing more than one class. We would like it to say the students may not be failing any class.
Yeah.
So then you're eliminating 2.
Yes, 1 and 2. Correct.
One would change, 2 would
One
go
would change
away.
to any class, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, I feel like the 1.5 GPA is a little low, but it's passing, so,
So that's fine.
yeah.
Yeah, the South Dakota High School Activity Association is, you have to have 2 credits in the previous year. That's it.
Oh.
Wow. Just an FYI.
Okay.
I do know that in the past, it was talked about that, like our students don't follow the same as what Marion students are, and that we're co-op, and that needs to look the same. And their policy is they may not be failing any class as well, except their F is a, their F is a 59%.
Right.
Where our F is a 69%. So it is a difference. I guess for me, like, it doesn't matter to me. I'm gonna follow whatever's in the handbook, right? It's clean cut, clear. I only worry about the kids who are, I mean, I do think this has saved a few kids a few times. Those kids who are lower level learners. They perform right where they are, so they do not qualify for an IEP, right? But they struggle hard. And to keep up with all classes is a lot of work. And I feel like sometimes the way that they juggle that is to do as much as they can for a few classes to get them passing, maybe kind of not do it as hard here, and then once those grade checks are over, then they make up what's here, and I mean, and they're juggling the whole time. And so I guess that's kind of where my heart always goes out for those kids, because they don't qualify for an IEP.
I know.
Right, but they're struggling and it's hard. So to me, like, changing it, those are the only kids that are gonna be affected. The ones that are always failing everything, it's not gonna matter, because they're still gonna fail everything. The ones that are always passing everything, they're always gonna keep passing. So, I'm just saying that, because I feel bad for those kids.
We set it at 60%. So it may not be failing.
May not have
Yeah.
a grade less than 60% or something like that.
Well, I would still say 1F.
Accepting
Right.
any lower standards.
I would still say 1F, right, because I wouldn't want them to have 2 60%. You know what I'm saying?
We're saying any class
Yeah.
less than 60%. So changing that from a 69, instead of saying they can't have an F in any class, saying they can't have anything less than a 60% in any class.
Then you could have
But
3
then you
Fs
could
at
be failing in
60.
every class, and still be eligible.
That's
for
true.
60.
So, right, okay, I get it.
I think
Yep,
it's just
you're
simple.
right.
If you're failing school, you should probably focus your efforts on school first and not extracurriculars.
I don't disagree, but when we're in a co-op, I don't want to lose kids to another district, because if they're consistently at that level, we're going to lose their funding and them in the building and have them jump. Because there's potential for that.
And those are really my kids that I worry about, right? I mean, these kids are working hard, hard, hard. They just, that is where they perform, and you can't qualify for an IEP if you perform, it doesn't make any sense. It makes 0 sense. But if your IQ is here and you perform here, you're not qualifying.
Yep.
Right? I mean, that's just who you are, and that's where you're gonna fall. And so I guess, for me, I do worry about those kids a little bit, because whether we like it or not, sports is what motivates them to show up in this building every single day. So, but again, I'll follow whatever you guys decide.
I've seen a lot of handbooks that have the statement, or making satisfactory progress towards passing. They have that no Fs, or making satisfactory progress towards having no Fs, and that could become an administrative decision on if they're making satisfactory progress or not.
I don't know that I feel comfortable
lot of gray area.
with that. I agree. I
A lot
don't
of
want to be
subject to
accused of
interpretation.
favoring one over another.
Puts you in a
Every district that I've been a part of has had that in their policy and been successful.
No, I think we as a district provide a lot for extracurriculars. I think passing your grades is not too much to ask.
I agree to that as well.
Yeah, I think lining it up with Marion, like what was suggested, is a good idea. It's just my 2 cents.
Well, with Marion, if you have a D, you're not eligible either. You can't have a D either.
Right, and their D is our F.
So it would actually
it would
line up if
actually.
we're
That
failing.
would line
Yeah,
up.
so it would line up.
So it does line.
So
60 to a 69, yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's helpful.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah, you're right. So number one, the student may not be failing any class, get rid of number two. Okay. And honestly, number three, that's never an issue. A GPA of 1.5 is real, it's,
Don't fail.
if they're getting a GPA of 1.5, they're probably not meeting the requirements of the credits. Does that make sense? So that one usually doesn't become an issue.
Okay.
I mean, to me, a 2.0 GPA is low, so a 1.5, that's not often. Okay.
And then all the other highlighted areas we saw no issues with, so
Okay.
feel free to proceed with the rest of that. I mean, the rest of the school board can.
My question would be that early graduation, should I leave that out of there, and then once that's approved, then just slide it back in?
I would think so.
Because that's currently not a policy.
I'm not opposed if the rest of the board wants some time to digest that, and we can leave that out and approve the rest of it, and it can
Right,
be
'cause-
thought.
well,
It's not going to affect us right at this moment anyway.
Nobody's gonna graduate tomorrow.
No.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think so too, because we just performed the first reading, so I don't think it should necessarily
So I'll
be.
take that out for now, and I'll put it back in once it's approved.
Yep,
Okay.
that sounds good. Anything else? Anything to follow up?
No, everything else looked
No?
great.
Wonderful. All right, is there any further discussion? If there's no further discussion, I'll require a motion to approve the elementary and junior senior high school handbook. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Cody, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Doug, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next time on the agenda, motion to surplus the following curriculum and classroom materials.
We have a number of items that have just been sitting on shelves collecting dust, so trying to clear some space. A big part of this would be the new ELA curriculum too. A lot of items that are the old, previous curriculum that there's no sense in hanging on to.
Sure you don't want to keep the reading kits from 1978?
So send them to you all.
Yeah, there we go. I need some more. Okay. Is there any discussion about the surplus items? If there's no further discussion, I'll require a motion to surplus the following and linked curriculum and classroom materials. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Doug. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Cody. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, the school board will hear an update from the Phoenix Co-op Advisory Committee. And I know both Jake and I were absent, so hand it over to you, Doug.
Yep, so I'll just hit the high points. There's sheet in your packet, good participation in football this year, which obviously that was a lot of what the discussion revolved around. It's the current sport that's happening that we're co-op in. Few changes, so Parents' Night will be focused around recognizing seniors as far as parents going out on the field, and that was moved to the September 15th game versus Howard. The academy is going to have one student playing football, but he will not be at the first game. So that was switched to then, and everybody agreed to that. We do have one student from Freeman participating in cheer. There was some discussion about adding a cheer coach possibly, and part of the reasoning was for transportation, but it was decided that this year we'd stick with the one coach and possibly look in the future to an assistant coach from Freeman Academy if more people participate, because somebody would have to bus them over there anyway for practices, or, so it's actually cheaper to hire a coach than to pay somebody by the hour to transport them to practices, but that student, as I understand, lives very close to the Marion district, and we thought we could work it out that way. Communication was discussed, so we're all on the same page when positions are advertised, so multiple districts aren't advertising for the same positions and recommending hire, that there's communication that happens so we don't get in that situation again. We discussed ADMs. On the back of that, you'll see our numbers are up. 56.1 is the cutoff for Class B in football, or 56.001 is. So the way it looks right now, we will potentially be over heading into next year, which they will count. And what is that, the third week of September that becomes official, Jake, our head count?
The exact day, and
It's sometime in the fall. So we had discussed having Christie petition the state
Last Friday in September.
for
Last Friday in September.
Friday. We'd ask Chrissy to look into how we would petition the state to stay down in Class B for a couple more years, because we are so heavy on underclassmen right now. And some of our upperclassmen are very inexperienced, or this is their first year out. So if we get pushed to 11B, we're gonna be playing large schools, and the potential for injury with some of those younger kids is pretty great. So that would be our first avenue. Dustin brought up that, and he did say he hadn't been contacting anybody, but the possibility of maybe asking another district if they would be interested in joining the co-op if we in fact are gonna get pushed to 11B. So we have some more upperclassmen and larger numbers, so that was discussed. You know, I don't know who a willing partner would be at this point. I think everybody else is pretty well solidified in co-ops. The outlier would probably be Parker, because they only have, I believe he said 26 kids out for football this year. And based on their enrollment, they're at 11-man, so they're in a tough spot. So that could possibly be an option to look at, but we didn't really have any further discussion on that. Busing, Nathan Epp, who's helping coach, he's gonna drive the buses for practices, and then Freeman will supply the bus drivers for the games, and be driving the games. It was kind of a open-ended agreement that if we're using our bus and our drivers, that the other two schools in the co-op would be kicking in for fuel.
Any questions? Comments? Great, if not, move on to the next item on the agenda, which is executive session. Will require a motion to enter executive session for the purpose of South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2, parentheses 1. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Carissa. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Cody. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. In executive session, 7:51 PM.
Last Friday in September is the child count date, but they don't come out with the actual